What makes a video game sequel great? Is it new mechanics and gameplay to keep the style, the whole game fresh? Is it just keeping the base gameplay and just bumping up the graphics? Or is it adding new characters to the series and making a really good story into something great and memorable? Or is it all those things and more? But what about the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen? How about a video game sequel that is a disappointment? And you don't know what that is. It could be new mechanics. It could be they took some things out of the previous game and they didn't replace it with anything. Or the graphics aren't up to snuff. But that can be all vol and noid when you start playing things. Say, hey, it's getting good, you like it, and then it hits you right there. When you start playing it, when you get into a groove, it just stops or whatever. It just feels completely empty after playing it. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about one of the best video game sequels of all time and one of the most disappointing. As I'm taking a look at Ratchet Clank, A Crack in Time, and Into the Nexus. Cue the theme song. So let's start off with the sequel to Tools of Destruction and Quest for Booty, A Crack in Time, as the game opens up with Captain Quark giving backstory to the previous games.
Jules? All right. It began a couple of years ago. I was manning my post as chief volunteer at the Planetary Defense Center when a deadly space armada began attacking Metropolis. Naturally, I could have handled the matter myself, but I was compelled to escort a group of underprivileged orphans to safety.
You know, this almost makes me want a Captain Quark game, but then again, I remember his gameplay from Secret Agent Clank that makes me think otherwise. Anyway, after that, we see Dr. Nefarious working with the Zoni to get information about a machine called the Great Clock from the memories of Clank. And that goes as well as you think.
I think it's time our partnership came to an end. Say hello to...
Not the hypersonic brainwave scrambler.
the Hypersonic Brainwave Scrambler!
Then, in the craziness, you gain control of Clank as he explores the new area while the Hypersonic Brainwave Scrambler, love that name by the way, love it, is causing havoc all around the Great Clock. Clank tries to get away but is again trapped by Nefarious. Meanwhile, Ratchet is looking for more leads with the one and only Captain Quark by his side.
Alone.
You realize this ship has an ejector seat, right?
Sorry. I guess you could say I've been a little antsy in my pantsy at the thought of getting back into the hero business. Yep. These wild stallions have been in the stable too long.
Jim Webb is Captain Quark, and you cannot change my mind on that. Anyway, there is an energy disturbance caused by what the Brainwave Scrambler is doing at the Great Clock that brings both Quark and Ratchet down to a nearby planet. So now you control Ratchet as he controls very well, and you take down the local fauna with some nice gunplay. And after you save some kids, you go to the local village to receive the Zoni vessel, and with that you can find and take lost Zoni and put them in that vessel, and with their energy they can not only fix your ship that you'll be traveling around in, but also upgrade it throughout your adventure. Anyway, the village gets invaded by the forces of Lord Flint Vorson, voiced by Doug Boat. Yes, that is his real name. Anyway, Flint is allied with Dr. Nefarious, which, not good for our heroes. as Ratchet fights to escape the invading force, and then with his repaired ship, takes the fight to Flint to save everyone. And after taking down Flint and saving Quark and the rest of the villagers, the game opens up for Ratchet. As in the game, you can fly around in a spaceship, and Ratchet can do side quests for Lost Zoni and other goodies that can help him out in his adventure. And flying around taking out enemy ships is pretty fun as well. But what about Clank? Well, he's more on a linear path, but it's still fun as Clank's new running buddy, Sigma 0426A, or Sigmund, voiced by Nolan North, well, at this point it's hard to find what game he isn't in than a needle in a haystack. Well, moving on, Clank has some fun new gameplay like the temporal recording where you record yourself pressing buttons to activate doors and switches to solve other puzzles to get bolts. Fun times. Anyhow, Clank wants to meet his dad Orvis, but he has to dive into his subconscious to meet him. So when that happens, we find out that Orvis is voiced by one Charles Martinet. You know, the guy who voiced Mario and Luigi. Insomniac Games, man. They're not messing around here. Anyway, Orvis gives Clank a new weapon, the Chrono Scepter. Well, it's been around for like 1,000,000 years, so it's not really a new weapon, but it's new to Clank. Oh, and some time bombs to slow down fast-moving pathways. So yeah, Clank's gameplay is puzzle solving, while Ratchet has a lot more action with a wider galaxy to explore. Now, both characters still do platforming, but in their own style, and it works perfectly with this game, as both Ratchet and Clank, even though they're apart, the gameplay isn't hurt by them being apart. And that to me is one of the game's main strengths, as even though the gameplay for Clank and Ratchet are different, the way the game is paced with all the action scenes for Ratchet and the way the game slows it down for the puzzles for Clank and so forth, I gotta give props to the game designers and the people at Insomniac Games who really know how to build up a platformer with not only kick-ass action, but with some decent puzzles which the majority of people can get into and have fun with. Anyway, back to A Crack in Time, Ratchet meets up with another Lombax. No, it's not Angela Cross. So the best she gets is a news segment about her being missing.
Tonight's top story, new information on the disappearance of Lombax rebel Angela Cross.
I'm sorry, have we confirmed that Angela Cross is in fact a Lombax? I know that was the assumption, but she doesn't have a tail.
Female Lombaxes don't have tails, Kip.
Don't you just love a good cheap shot? Anyway, the new character, named Aleister Aldsmith, being played by Joey Diua, is an older Lombax that has a sad backstory who is responsible for the near extinction of the Lombax. And the reason for that is because he was the one who gave the technology to Tachyon so that he could perform his genocide. And his mission is with Ratchet to use the Great Clock to go back in time to stop this horrific mistake from happening so that Ratchet and himself finally get their families back. But what about Dr. Nefarious? What is his great plan for using the Great Clock? Well, his plan is quite simple. He wants to go back in time and let the villains win every single time, as he is tired of seeing them lose to heroes like Ratchet and Clank and Captain Quark and all the other do-gooders across the galaxy.
But doesn't that mean Quark would win as well, since he was a side villain in the first Ratchet and Clank game and going full villain and going commando as well?
Yeah, that is true, Woodstock, but honestly, I don't think Nefarious knows that. And if he does, well, that opens up a ton of questions that we don't have right now. So let's get to the climax of this game, shall we? The climax of this game is very interesting, as taking down Nefarious, most would think that would be the end of it. Oh no, Ratchet has to take down one man who is as close to a family that he's had for many, many years, Aleister. At first, you don't fight him. Instead, Clank has to rush to the central point of the Great Clock and rewind 6 minutes, and that is just enough to save Ratchet and get into the boss fight proper, which is fun to play, but it's bittersweet for Ratchet as he takes down Aleister, but, well, Aleister, all he wanted to do is rewrite the terrible wrong he did to his own species, and, well, that was his mission all along, to use the Great Clock to rewrite the great wrong he did. But using the Great Clock that way is not possible without destroying the entire universe. But he does earn a bit of redemption as he uses the wrench to stop the out-of-control clock before it does destroy the entire galaxy. So Aleister saves the day, and Ratchet is once again the last Lombax in the galaxy. But he won't go through it alone, as he will have his best friend with him, Clank, as he decides to give the responsibility of protecting the Great Clock to Sigmund. And such, both Ratchet and Clank go off to another adventure. And so, after this great video game sequel, Ratchet and Clank continue on to their adventures. Unfortunately, the next adventure came out of the disappointment bin with this, Into the Nexus. Before I get into why this game is a disappointment, there are a few positives I would like to lay upon this game, because one, I think the graphics are really good. It continues the Pixar-like quality of the previous Future games. Two, I like the weapons. They're fun to use as always. Three, I enjoy the platform, especially the anti-grind mechanics. They're really fun. And also, I love the way Clank was used here, finding these dimensional creatures and bringing them back to open doors and other pathways. Fun times. In fact, I like the main antagonists of this game, the brother and sister duo of Venture and Nephin Prague. And honestly, the way this story kicks off, with Venture getting a rescue from Ratchet and Clank because of her brother, with the help of Thugs for Less, attacks the ship they were on and blows it up. And not only that, Nephin takes out Kronk and Zephyr, the two robots from Tools of Destruction. I mean, wow. Talk about a kick-ass opening. You know, with that type of opening, this game spells out that no one is safe. And you know, it actually brings a level of threat to the new villains of this chapter of the Ratchet Clank Future series. And I like that. It could be something really great. It says Tyler Apology ain't safe, Captain Quark ain't safe, you know, the plumber, he might not be safe. And even, you can put Ratchet and Clank in that whole thing too. They might not make it. The tag team might not make it in this adventure. Heck, maybe even bring back Angela Cross. You know, it would be crappy to bring her back just to kill her off here, but it would show that, hey, she exists and maybe have a positive contribution to the series other than a news clipping or whatever. That would be nice, but do we get that game? Do we get that?
Nope.
But you know what you do get, ladies and gentlemen? You know what you get? You get an adventure when it starts getting interesting. It starts getting good. It's over. That's right. After you defeat that big pink dimensional thing, it's over. And honestly, I thought the boss fight was actually pretty good. I thought, okay, there's going to be a twist here. There's going to be something here, right? No. The game ends. The siblings get reunited and they go to jail willingly, and that's it. I mean, I look at a game like this, and this game felt like it just like they had Insomniac just say, okay, we need to make another Ratchet and Clank game. Just get some just scrap here, there, and everywhere, and bam, a 5-hour adventure done. That's it. Oh, it's not going to really be a fulfilling thing. I'll just add a DLC of a Quest for Booty. That's fine. That's going to be a perfect thing. That's a way to really end out the Future series. Ugh. It's frustrating because I truly think there's really good chance I honestly think there was a good chance of really exploring Ratchet and Clank here. There was something there, especially after that opening. And when you have an opening like that, when a game begins, when you have a death of two minor / you could call them major characters, but minor characters of the first game of this trilogy, you would think that this would be something immense. You'd think there's going to be something, wow, this game series is taking a turn. No one is safe. But instead, it's just, well, okay, we just killed those minor characters off, and their back is ghost or whatever. So, ha, nothing matters, nothing changes, who cares? And to me, this is probably one of the most disappointing games I've ever played and reviewed for this channel. I review bad games, I review good games, I review great games. I review one in this video. But here, it's just very very disappointing. And one of the reasons why this is disappointing is that they set something up. It looked like they were setting something up for this game, and instead it's just more disappointment. It just sets up and doesn't even follow through. So, that was my review of A Crack in Time and Into the Nexus. My final thoughts? Man, talk about going from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. Man, this review has been a trip, hasn't it? Well, it's time to give up my final scores as Ratchet Clank A Crack in Time. It's perfection, a 10 out of 10. Great platforming, great action, great story. Highly recommended. Its follow-up, however, it's a different story. Part of me wants to say it's a good follow-up because of the gameplay and the graphics. But on the other hand, I can't let this game get away with its ending and just rush finished. So I give Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus a 6 out of 10. That ending and the just utter stop of the game really hurts it. The crazy thing is, everything else is fine. The gameplay, the anti-gravity platforming is fun, but it ends just as quickly as you're just starting to have fun with the game, and I can't really get past that. So, yeah, Into the Nexus, very disappointing. And that was a review of the Ratchet & Clank Future Series. And we're going to be pretty much done with Ratchet & Clank until I get into the movie and the PS4 game and the PS5 game, which looks like it's going to be a sequel to this. Which, honestly, maybe they could just forget this ever happened and focus on the sequel to this, because, maybe that would be something really cool. That's my hope anyway. Anyway, next up, we're going to take a look back into some wrestling, folks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going back in the world of pro wrestling, and you know what we're going to go back to? Impact Wrestling. Oh, yeah. We're going back to Impact Wrestling, because the next time we do this, the next time hopefully won't be as long as it is. Yeah. But next time we do this, we're going to talk about Slammiversary. And then we continue on that train. We're going to talk about Bound for Glory. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, this is Duke CT here. Peace, love. See y'all when I see y'all later.